So now let's look at another structure called a dictionary of dictionaries. Again, I want to show you the data that we're working with. It's tabular data, and we're going to see it converted into another structure, this dictionary of dictionaries. Now, if you look closely at this structure, and if you want, give it a pause and take a look at it yourself and tell me what you're seeing. The dictionary contains string keys. I think that's pretty clear. Each string key is associated with a dictionary. So the key is a string and the value, whatever you see to the right of the colon there, and that's clearly a dictionary. So if we wanted to print individual values within this dictionary, that would be very convenient. And then we have an added challenge, looping through the dictionary and printing out values as you see it. Let's start with the simpler one. How could you print the value of cane? Again, remember, this is a dictionary, so you have to remember what dictionary tools you have at your command. For example, you know that if you use dictionary subscript key, you're going to get the value, right? You can assign it that way too. Well, actually, normally you'd say value equals dictionary key. So that's the form for getting a value out of the dictionary key. Now, this is the part that hangs some folks up. So I want you to be extra vigilant when you're looking at this. If you can access a value based on a key, the question is, how could you, let's say, print the value cane from this dictionary? How would you get there? You may want to play with it, but also you want to mentally play with it. Ask yourself first, where is the inner structure and how do I access it? And then second, once I'm with the inner structure, how do I access the value that I want? So the challenge for you, and you should pause this and try it, is through DOD, print the value cane. Okay, let's do it. We need to consider, again, the two rules. The first rule is, what is the address location of the inner structure where our value is located? That's number one. And then the second, once we've reached that inner structure, where or how can we access that inner value? Okay. Sorry, did you want to pause? I'll give you a second to pause. Okay, coming back. Oh, we already came back. Haha. Okay, let's print cane. We're going to print cane. The first question, what is the address location of the inner structure where our value is located? And by inner structure, of course, I'm talking about that inner dictionary. Well, we find it at DOD JK43, right? Because you know that in order to get a value from a dictionary, we give it the key and a subscript. In order to get the value from a dictionary, we use the key and a subscript, and we'll get back the value. That should give me the interdict where cane is located. That was the first thing we wanted to do. Then the second question, once we've reached that inner structure, how can we access that inner value? Okay, well, we've reached that inner structure. DOD JK43 is the location of the inner structure. So now let's treat that as the dictionary that it is. And of course, if you want, you can print that dictionary. Okay, there's that inner structure. So how are we going to access cane? We're going to treat it like the dictionary that it is. If we want to get cane, we know we need the key L name. And so we're able to access an inner value in an inner structure through the outer structure by first asking the address location where the inner structure is located, And then once we've reached that inner structure, then using the inner structure in the way it's supposed to be used. That is, in this case, a dictionary. Okay, so let's do one other thing. Now, this will be the big challenge for you, and it's not easy. It can be easy, but it really depends on your orientation and whether you're remembering exactly what you get when you're looping through a dictionary. Let's start with that. I want you to loop through and print the first name of each person in the dictionary. Loop through and print the first name of each person. Now, this tends to hang people up because when you're looping through the outer structure, you're not really aware of what you're looping through. So, you're looping through a dictionary. And the question is, when you loop through a dictionary, when you say for item in DOD, what is item? I'm not going to give you the answer. I think you should print out item to see what item is so that you know where you are. But I'm going to leave you with this challenge right now, and we'll come back in a second and solve it. You need to print the first name of each person in the DOD by looping through DOD. Just remember, when you say for item in DOD, what is item? Don't answer too readily. Print it out and find out. I'm not going to do it right now because I want to give you this challenge. What is item when you loop through a dictionary? Go ahead and print item out and see. I'll be back in just a moment to give you the answer. Okay, let's do it. So the very first question that I was asking you informally is, what is item? And the answer is, when you're looping through a dictionary, you're looping through the keys. Remember? So when we loop through a dictionary, we're looping through the keys. Now, the biggest mistake that I've seen people make is that they feel that item must be the inner dictionary. So they'll say, print item L name. And what they get is some weird error, or seemingly weird error, string indices must be integers. Now, when you look at an error like that, string indices must be integers, and you look at the line in question, you can see, yeah, you are using a subscript, and indices refers to the index of an ordered container, like a string. You can use an index with a string. Basically, it's saying that item is a string. So I asked you to print item, and I think that was a good first step. When you print item, you're seeing each key. So, if you have the key, how are you going to get the value? This is the tricky part. This is the part that people get confused about, because their assumption is that if we're looping through an outer structure, each item in the outer structure must be the inner structure, but it isn't. It's the key that refers to the inner structure. So, here's how we get to the inner structure. We have to get DOD item. That's going to give us each inner structure. That's the way that's the address basically of each inner structure. So in order to print the first name of each person, we will then do a double subscript. Now it's a tricky one, and not, only a few people will get it, but that's how we do it. You might want to study this and make sure that you understand it. Again, the principles are all the same. Every inner structure has an address in the outer structure. In a list, like a list of dictionaries, each one of these dictionaries has an address as an index in LOD. So LOD 0, LOD 1, LOD 2. That's the address of each one of these inner structures. But what's really complicated about a dictionary of dictionaries is that the address of the inner structure is at the subscript of DOD, the string key. So the address of the inner structure is at a string key of the dict. And so that's how we're able to loop through and visit each one. That's the trick with a dictionary of dictionaries.